Hi, welcome back channel, FIFA Mobile. Alright, let's talk about Heroes Journey 23 and the Fantasy Pass. And these are my targets, and I'm going to share with you the 2 million I made from the exchange as well. Alright, so this is today is the first day of this event, and of course, there are only 2 tabs in the Heroes Journey, one of which you can see all the delicious cards. So the other one is basically the one that you play at the skill games and the matches, and it's really pathetic in my opinion that you only get one hero point per match or skill game, and they require 220 at least for that 110. This taking too much of my time. I felt that. Don't you think so? I think quite ridiculous, right? I mean, if you require 220 and just giving 1 point each. Alright, so generally what's happening is that when you play one loop per day, you'll be able to claim only after multiple times. You call this as a one moment. Yeah, beautiful moment indeed. So after 7 moments or 7 days, you claim that first set of 105, and it moves on and all the way to 28. So this is what I'm talking about, minimum 220, and you're only getting 1 token, and you need 220. So you make the math right. It takes a long while. I mean, I'm also lost in count how many days that would take, but easily. It's going to be crazy though. But let's take a look at the exchange. What's really interesting is this one that I'm going to talk about, because this is really realistic. At least I can get something out of it if I do not need, or I have already got a lot of those points and whatnot. So again, in here, those exchange, you can actually use some of those superhero players, which are the 110 you can get from the market, roughly about 19 million each. You throw 3 of them in, but you're going to waste 110 tokens, and that's going to take what, more than 10 days. A day you're going to achieve like 8 tokens, including watching a video at a midday basis. Just a reminder, alright, so there are 2 videos to watch per day, one at the start of the day and one at midday, and plus all the skill boosts, skill games, mixed up on that, skill games and matches. You're going to get 8 tokens a day, and you need 110 tokens to be thrown in, plus buying 3 numbers of the heroes to get one of this. It's totally not worth it. Forget about it. So generally, that's what my opinion is. This whole Heroes Journey 23 was quite a disappointment. Initially, I was thinking that it is a separate phase, which is, if you look at the Heroes Journey, there's a phase 5. I thought this Prime Icon Heroes comes in a phase 6. That's why I'm really excited. Actually, I spent quite a number of my coins buying all the Heroes players, 80 plus, and Prime Icon, definitely not, but rather the League, the Serie A, Premier League players, etc. Spending quite a lot in terms, probably more than 10 million in buying those cards, getting ready for the exchange, because I'm thinking that phase 6 opens, and that's fantastic, but it's not. Alright, so apparently if you take a look at the market, the players, we're looking at 110. OVR is only worth 60 over million. That's really low. The 111 at least about 127. That's minimal. But think about it. I mean, if you put in that good amount of effort in getting a player, I'm really not sure how long you need to take, because 220 you're just going to divide by 8. And that will take you roughly about 27.5 days. And you're looking at the 111 cards require 440 points. That will take you another, 55 days in total if you're taking 8 points per day. So generally, that's the amount of time required just to get the cards. Basically, I'm not too sure whether we are having those kind of period, because I couldn't see the period for the event actually. So for me, I think this is the best thing I'm going to do, which is to instantaneously get 2 million out of it. And because it's available in 4 days, I'll probably get it again. So like I said, in terms of the exchange, even you look at UCL, even you look at the other one, maybe you'll come to that later. It's definitely not worth it. The other one I'm talking about is Fantasy 23, but I can't touch on that later on. But let's very quickly compare the prices. You can see here 60 odd million for 110 and 100 odd million for the 111. As compared to the UCL, you can see the price is roughly there, but which means that because we are not doing the 111 UCL exchange because it's not worth it. It just means the same, that it's not worth to do for the Heroes Journey likewise. As for the 110 card that's only 60 plus million is worse off than the UCL. So do not do this exchange at all, because if you want to do the exchange for money, not so much for the card, I'll say that you do it for the UCL because it's worth much more. If you are doing for the card, I also advise you not to do so, because you can buy it from the market with the amount you invested. So why are you doing that at all? There is no purpose in doing this. So it's not a requirement to do the exchange. So never do this exchange. It's a total waste of funds. You should keeping your millions in an account safe on to buy these players cheap. Eventually, when people start doing all this exchange, this player will be flooded in market, and the price will drop. The other way to look at it is basically the players that are coming out from the positions. So if you look at the 110, for example, you have a CAM. I'm sure that eventually the CAM price will drop as well. So now, talking about the next one, it's not even an event, it's just a pass. It's a fantasy pass, right? So that's really disappointing again. There is no event to play with. And if you are not a pay to win, you're just getting a pass by doing certain quest items. Just make sure you do it a daily basis, and you will get some rewards out front. Alright, so generally this is the pact, and it's nothing to shout about. So if you're lucky, you manage to get a 105 player, you fit it into your lineup, you may be able to unlock one more reward from the fantasy weekly quest, but otherwise it's not worth spending money just to buy a player to put it in to fulfill that requirement. Generally, if you look at that pass rewards, it's definitely not worth the amount you're going to put in. I'll rather just collect more of the transfer points. Alright, so this is the daily effort you to go through. You can see there's really nothing much you could do besides doing certain things that you've been doing daily basis, and then you have a pass. Just make sure that it's not under the star pass, it's under a fantasy pass. Alright, so you can go to the events and you can look at from there. In terms of all these skill games, nothing to share about, nothing much to share, because it's relatively easy. It is not as if it's as hard as the semi-finals I could share with you in the challenge of the UCL, but in the skill games, or be it the matches, it is relatively easy. I'm not going to waste your time to watch those because it's relatively easy. I'm not going to to tell you how to do it, because I believe you can do it anyways. So just remember, on a daily basis, what you need to do is really to do the TOTW. Make sure you collect some skill boosts from those savings or points, and of course get some players you can sell in the market sometimes. Alright, so in terms of the hero journey, as I mentioned, it created a disappointment. I was taught this is phase 5. I'm so excited about it. I spent about 10 over million to 20 getting all the cards ready, ready to rush it to get all the great players that I saw, the delicious cards, but it's not. It is a separate event altogether. So that's really a disappointment, as I mentioned earlier, because getting those players out will need at least a month, right? So it's 22 or 23 days later, then you're able to get your first card of 110, and eventually, if you want to wait for a 111, that takes you 55 days, almost 2 months. In terms of the exchange, it's not worth it to do, even in the Fantasy 23. These are the worst exchanges to do, because they are not worth much, and because of the fantasy players, probably other players' prices will drop because they are so cheap. They are dirt cheap in the market. So just take a look at the market, you'll be surprised. 111 is only 82 million, right? So it's compared to the UCL or the Heroes, they are at least 100 over million, 120, 130. So just do a quick comparison again. You can see here minimally 120 plus. Even the UCL or the Icons player was much more than the Fantasy 23. So the Fantasy 23 has a total letdown because they're going to push the price down, be it a CB or be it a CAM. They're going to push all the price down because it's relatively cheap. And this is a downward trend moving forward. The price will start to drop. And of course, when the 111 is dirt cheap, your 110 will be worse off. That's why the freaking price has dropped from 40 million to the current about 32 or so. So that's a disappointment because initially I'm thinking of selling my freaking for 42 or 40 million, and then I just grab a cheaper player of 10 over million or 20 at max, and then I will earn a so-called a cut about 10 over million from that. Just imagine this: if I ever have a CB or a CAM, I just grab these players because they're relatively cheaper, and then with that we will make a profit out of it in a way. But again, that required transfer points. As I mentioned earlier, nothing to shout about in terms of this hero's journey. In a day, you complete all the skill games and video. You're 7 at a midday basis. You gotta watch another video, and they're gonna 8 points, and you need 220. I mentioned again, 220 points. That takes you almost a month in order to get a 110 card. If you save a bit, in 2 months time you get a 111 card. So your choice. Eventually, if you do not want to claim any cards at the end of 2 months, probably you get a 111 card that isn't worth much anyways. Thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe. Goodbye.